Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Community College Consortium for OER's April webinar. This is Una Daly, the College Outreach Director and Curriculum Design Director at the Open Education Consortium. And I'm very pleased to have three presentations here this morning for you on OER authoring and delivery platforms. And we'll, in just a moment, we'll have a chance to speak with our presenters. I hope that many of you were able to join us last month during Open Education Week. There was lots of wonderful webinars presented by folks in the open education community. CCC OER had two webinars. We had one on the Z degree, which is an exciting new innovation around providing pathways for students that involve zero textbook cost. So a real boon for students. And we also had a platform, we also had a webinar on the open MOOCs, which is an area that, of course, the open education community supports. So hope you caught those. They are available on the Open Education Week website if you missed those archives. If you missed the live webinars, you can catch the archives. All right, on to today. I assume that most of you are familiar with the Collaborate system. If this is your first time, you will see on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the participants who have joined us today for the webinar, and you should see yourself if you scroll down there. We will be saving the questions, at least the audio questions, till the end, but please feel free to use the chat window, which is immediately below the participants window, to ask questions as we go along and make comments. And we will get back to those questions at the end if we can't do it during the webinar. All right, at this time we want to ask you where you're from, and if you can't type into, you can type into the chat window if you like to tell us what institution, state you're from, or you can grab this, the little asterisk that's in the middle of your toolbar. Thank you. Grab one of those and attach it to the place on the globe where you're currently located. Oh, exciting. So we've got some East Coast people. I know that we have some folks from up in Canada, up in British Columbia. Oh, we've got some folks from Central America, University of Cape Town, South Africa. Well, that's exciting. Wow. Well, as you know, the Community College Consortium is part of the larger Open Education Consortium, which is a worldwide community. And we do have members in 6 out of 7 continents. So exciting to have everybody here today. All right, at this time I want to introduce our speakers and give them just a very brief period of time to tell us a little bit about themselves. And Clint, I'm going to start with you.
Thanks, Una. My name is Clint Lalonde, and I'm the manager of open education for an organization called BC Campus here in Victoria, British Columbia. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the organization when I start my presentation here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Clint, and we're really happy to have Clint. Clint's been involved in the open education effort at BC Campus since the beginning, and the open textbook effort at any rate, and they've made some amazing progress in the last 3 years. All right, next up I'd like to introduce Judy Einstein, who is the VP of Business Development at CourseLoad. Judy?
Yes, hi. Thank you very much for the welcome. Look forward to getting to know everyone and to sharing and learning information today. Thank you.
Great, thanks Judy. And Judy's also joined by Etienne Pelleprat, who is the User Design and Experience Director at CourseLoad. Etienne?
Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you all. Other than before my life here at Courselet, I was actually an instructor at UC San Diego and DePauw University here in Indiana.
Great, great. Glad to hear that, ATN. And last but not least, I want to introduce Domi Enders, who is
Yes.
founder of
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Domi Enders.
Hi.
I'm very happy to be here with this wonderful group. Thank you.
Great. Domi, and Domi is she's located in an interesting area due to her busy schedule today, but she'll be telling us more about the Open Assembly platform during our webinar. All right. So here's our agenda. I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of the Community College Consortium for OER, and then we'll get directly into our presentations. And as I mentioned earlier, we will save the Q&A until the end because we do have a very full program today. So the Community College Consortium for OER was founded almost 8 years ago now. And its mission remains very similar to when it started, which is expanding access to high-quality materials that are openly licensed in order to support faculty in choice and development of their courses. And ultimately, our goal is to improve student success, so to expand access for students and improve their learning outcomes. And I'm very happy to report that we have over 250 colleges in 21 states that participate in our consortium. And this last month, or actually I guess it's in April officially, we've had 2 new states join us. We've had colleges from Athens, Georgia join us, and we've also had a couple of colleges in Massachusetts join us, North Essex, and we have another one. And Georgia and Massachusetts are new states for us, and we are also having North Central Texas College join us, which is I think our 3rd member in Texas. So we're really excited to have our consortium growing. So this morning, we're going to focus on authoring and delivery platforms for OER. And I think those of us, and I know many of you out there are very involved in OER at your campuses and institutions. And faculty really need easy-to-use authoring tools. And so we're going to hear about some of that this morning. But in addition, institutions need the ability to integrate OER into their existing course management infrastructures, and so that's why we're also here talking about platform today. Also, we know that OER can provide students not only with low-cost solutions, but it provides them with alternate materials that they can use to improve their learning, and so that's also a very important piece of the OER movement is providing students with that expanded access to additional materials. And finally, we have found certainly with CCC OER, and I know many of you have developed communities of interest around OER, sometimes within your own discipline. And so as these authoring and delivery platforms support
Lovely. Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold. Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. Please wait for the tone. When you hear the tone, you will be the second person to join the meeting.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Clint. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, this is Etienne from
I
Coursera. I
can.
can hear you.
Okay. So I think we've lost Une here. So Etienne and Judy, are you guys there?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know if Judy's here. I can probably proceed without
I was going to say, Etienne, would you be able to move ahead here while Une gets the audio figured out? Because I think we can all hear you.
Yeah, I can do that. So I'm delighted to represent CourseLoad today. CourseLoad is a company that's been around since about 2009 that provides a broad range of e-text and digital course material solutions for institutions. And over the last couple of years, we've focused a lot on enabling a lot of our customers to leverage open educational resources, predominantly text-based OER resources. But we're increasingly seeing the need to integrate video and other kinds of instructional materials that are free into a sort of enterprise setting where institutions can control, curate, adopt, and deliver all types of course materials. So what I really want to do today, I'll switch the slide here, is just give a very brief overview of CourseLoad's capabilities and focus on the way those capabilities contribute to a successful or growing adoption of open educational resources at institutions. There are a lot of hurdles with adopting and integrating and growing OER usage at institutions. We've seen a lot of those hurdles and we've been able to address a lot of them. So part of that is that we're able to deliver open educational resources alongside other course materials in a seamless and unified content experience. I won't have a live demo today, but I'll have screenshots of various of our applications, including CourseLoad Engage, which is the application that students and instructors would use to receive and read and interact with their course materials. And a lot of institutions aren't ready to move overnight with OER. It's a gradual adoption, and proprietary content and free content or OER content have to live side by side. So you'll see that a little bit. The second thing is that Engage, the flagship application that delivers course materials and OERs, among other things, has been designed with a number of tools that enable content enhancement geared to instruction and learning. And we see a lot of our customers working with instructional designers or faculty who are advanced in course development and pedagogical techniques who actually enhance the course materials and reuse those enhancements term to term. And in fact, we see teams of faculty or instructional designers creating enhancements to content together that they deploy across any number of sections and courses at their institution. So it's not enough to be able to ingest and deliver open educational resources alongside other materials. You also want to enhance it in a way that makes sense for particular instructional context. And we have a lot of tools for, first of all, performing those enhancements, but also managing them and sharing them and reusing them. A third key capability with respect to content management and OER is around metadata. Metadata and catalogs. What institutions need is not just the ability to use OERs on an ad hoc basis. They want to ingest whole catalogs of OERs and curate metadata around those open educational resources in ways that suit them. Depending on the institutions, you may want to curate your content to align it with certain kinds of skills and competencies or learning objectives in an instructional context. That kind of metadata curation around content really helps in number 4 here on the list, which is discovery and adoption. This is a challenge that we hear a lot from our customers or prospective customers, is that the challenge they face on their campus isn't really the access to OER, it's the discovery of OER, open educational resources, to their faculty at periods when those faculty are considering course materials adoptions. And what they really want to show to their faculty in a unified tool is a set of course materials that can be aligned. This goes back to that metadata that could align with the particular needs of that institution. Systems integration is a really important part of any enterprise solution, and we integrate with learning management system in some really important ways that allow day one access without codes to students, but also SIS systems and catalogs that may exist in your campus and other content repositories that may exist in your campus as well. And then finally, also really important is that you need to have at any given institution a flexible business model that allows for you to work with that institution. We have just that. Let me change the slide. So CourseLoad Engage, you see a screenshot of it here on the right. CourseLoad Engage is our delivery tool. It's also our enhancement tool. And I've got this example course here that was taken from one of our customers on the right. And in one unified context, one unified application, whether mobile or on a desktop or a laptop, students will have access to text-based OER, to video, if that's embedded video from YouTube or hosted via CourseLoad, journal articles, library content, integrating with library catalogs, making them available at the adoption stage is an important capability that institutions need. Proprietary content, of course, is still core and central to a lot of instruction. And I don't know if you can notice, but on that bottom row of content, we've got 2 textbooks. One of them is a McGraw title on the left, and the other one is an open educational resource. Uploading content is really important. Instructors are producing more and more of their own instructional materials, and they want to make that part of the student's unified course material experience. Engage lets you do all of these things, ingest all these things, and deliver all of them in one unified platform and in an application that is accessible. So I don't have to tell this community about how important 508 compliance is. Our applications are all audited by the National Center for Accessibility and Media for accessibility, and they produce our accessibility documents even though those documents are voluntary. Native mobile apps, offline access, these are table stakes in delivering course materials these days, and we have those apps covered. Integration, we have seamless LMS integration through LTI with your learning management system. We rely on the learning management system to authenticate and identify students so that they never have to go enter some code someplace to get access to their course materials. It's integrated into their section view in their learning management system. It turns out that I think Barbara Olowski, who was one of the head contributors to this Intro to Stats OER, is on this call. I saw her name. This was an OER that was used at one of our customers a couple of years ago, and they've used it since in a kind of pre-MBA program that had a significant stats component. What I really want to talk about here is that CourseLoad Engage, this is the app, this is the content delivery environment, is a sleek, clean, attractive, modern UI. I mentioned day one access, I won't go there again. All students in the class have access to course materials very typically. It depends on the business model, but usually every student is there. And the enhancements that instructors make to their course materials are always class-wide. They always carry with that course material. And those enhancement capabilities, which I could dive in deeper with any of you one-on-one, are intended to facilitate instruction. And it's important that these enhancements can be reused and shared within an institution, which they can be with CourseLoad. I mentioned a number of other capabilities that are really critical. What you see on the right there is a screenshot of another one of our applications. It's our adoption tool. It's used by faculty or instructors to populate their sections, to adopt in their sections course materials from some unified catalog of content at their institution. You'll see that OERs live alongside proprietary content in these catalogs. The second item on that list is an OER item. This is also where faculty would request new content. And what we're really good at CourseLoad is solving some of these, not just the adoption problem, but the ingestion and harvesting of content. So if you've ever used OERs, sometimes URLs change. What you really want is to pull in that OER, live it in a centralized repository, and always be available. So that harvesting is something that we do. You also want to ingest catalogs of metadata. With publishers, we ingest ONIX feeds, and there's a lot of metadata in those ONIX feeds. OERs, OpenStax, they also curate their own catalogs with metadata, and we can ingest those as well. We can generate custom catalogs for your institution. This is a really important step for a lot of institutions in growing the maturity, but you want to maybe have an OER catalog, or you want to have a catalog for the humanities and social sciences. You don't want your faculty in anthropology, when they're adopting a course material, to search for terms and get back results from the chemistry discipline or physics discipline. You want to curate custom catalogs that meet the needs of your faculty. OER-specific catalogs, I mentioned that, if you want to enable that. And then metadata curation capabilities via custom tools. The more the OER tends to be used at an institution, the more it gets tied to particular kinds of curricular goals or instructional goals, and you want that content to be discoverable in relation to those alignments, so those pedagogical or instructional alignments. That's a key factor to success, to growing adoption that we've found at many institutions. Discovery and adoption, I mentioned this already, so I won't spend too much time on it again. But there are a number of ways in which, once we've ingested catalogs and content and metadata, we can expose our content management system and its catalogs to your federated search tools. Every institution's got some type of federated search tool. Typically it goes through the library. The library can tap into the content that we've made available that way. There are other applications for federated search that we can facilitate. Integration with campus systems. I mentioned the student information system here only because what's really important for providing a good user experience or faculty experience around adoption is that they'll see which sections they have to teach in an upcoming term, and to pick from a catalog and automatically populate that course material into their sections, and they don't have to worry about any other forms or anything like that. Institutions that use our ordering tool have their faculty log on with their student information system credentials and see which sections they have to teach and adopt course materials for those sections. This is also a place where they can make requests for new types of content that may not exist in the catalog. So faculty freedom to peruse catalog offerings and adopt them at will is a really critical component for success, whether you're doing OER or anything else, but it is a capability that institutions need. And then let's talk about analytics. There are a number of really critical applications for analytics. What you see on the right is analytics about one particular open educational resource that's been used at one of our customer institutions. And that graph that you see represents the use of that course material on average in that course, in that basic human anatomy class. So you can see a number of gray bars. Those actually represent the length of particular chapters in that course material. So those chapters are projected along the x-axis. And then the blue line represents the average number of page reads across all 24 sections of basic human anatomy by students. So you can quickly see which chapters are being used, which chapters are not being used. The OER community would probably love, we'd love to talk to them more, those who write these books would probably love to see how their course materials are being used. And by the way, this kind of information really helps in lowering costs on proprietary content. It's
Welcome to the CCC Confer. Welcome to the CCC. Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or
Hello out there.
Hi.
I'm sorry, we're having a problem with our teleconferencing system. Is the sound back for people?
I think it is for you, Una.
Okay, so I'm restarting the teleconference system. I'm sorry, we're having some kind of an issue with it this morning, but I need my moderators not to cancel it when I do the connection, okay? So let's try and do that one. So I apologize. We just seem to be having some issues this morning.
Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. Please wait. When you hear the tone, you will be the fourth person to join the meeting.
All right. Can you hear me back again?
Gotcha,
Okay,
Una.
thank you, Maureen. Okay, perfect. Thanks for letting me know. Once again, I apologize. I'm not sure what's going on this morning. Normally, this is pretty seamless. Judy, and thank you very much to ATN for that great presentation. And I think the audio cut out right at the end, so hopefully everyone was able to hear most of that. I know that Judy Einstein, the VP of Business Development, is also online. Judy, did you want to say a few words before we move on to our next speaker?
Sure. Thank you for that. We're really excited to be able to share CourseLoad with you because we know that OER is increasingly accepted as a great form of content that helps to save students money. But the focus now is more on implementation, on how to foster adoption. You can see that administrators are taking notice and that there's more and more discussion about how to best enable OER and how to help with adoption. And even in IT, there are questions about how to support effective delivery. The CourseLoad platform, of course, has been there for some time, always as a way of adopting content regardless of whether it's OER or proprietary or faculty generated. It's just, and therefore it can be helpful to gradually migrate to increased use of OER. It doesn't mean one has to abandon all proprietary content. And having a uniform platform, uniform look and feel to all different kinds of content can really be an enhancement, as can having a way of evaluating the content with the analytics and being able to evolve OER over time to add enhancements is also another plus of what we're offering. So we're excited about the potential of OER CourseLoad. We also share the interest in helping to save students money, and we look forward to hopefully working with you. In my role as VP Business Development, I'm your main contact if you'd like to follow up and to get more information. So I'll go ahead and put some information on the chat so you have my email and phone number. And thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Judy. And as she mentioned, she'll put her contact information in the chat window, and it's also on the slides as well. All right. Well, next I'd like to move on to Clint Lalonde, who is the Open Education Manager at BC Campus, and he's going to talk to us about Pressbooks, which is a platform that they've been using to develop open textbooks. Clint?
Thanks, Una. Can everybody hear me all right? Just maybe a thumbs up. Great. All right. Thanks, and I'm really happy to be here to talk to you a little bit about Pressbooks and the BC Open Textbook project that is happening and has been happening for the last couple of years here in British Columbia. I just want to say that when we're talking about technology that's supporting our project, that Pressbooks is just one of the pieces of technology that we're using. We have a number of other pieces of technology, including a learning object repository called Aquila that we have working in the back end of Pressbooks that provides some more sort of enterprise level architecture. And I'm just going to share a link here. If you're interested in all the pieces of technology that we're using beyond Pressbooks to power our open textbook project, I wrote a blog post last year that kind of outlined the different pieces of technology. So before I get into Pressbooks, I just want to talk a little bit about who we are. BC Campus is a provincial organization here in British Columbia. We're funded by the Ministry of Advanced Education. we do collaborative projects with all 25 public post-secondary institutions. We have a number of different strands, and the one strand that I work in is called Open Education and Professional Learning. We've been supporting the development and use of open educational resources within the British Columbia post-secondary system for about 12 years now. We started off with a program called the Online Program Development Fund that it provided grants to institutions to create online courseware. And we also do system-wide initiatives to facilitate the enhancement of high-quality teaching and learning. So we have a number of initiatives. Solar is our learning object repository, which stores learning objects and open courseware and open textbooks provided by the system. We have a couple of community practices with Scope and eTug, and we've just started a couple of new communities called the British Columbia Teaching and Learning Council and the BC OER Librarians Group. So this is the role that we play within the province. And the big project that we're working on right now is the BC Open Textbook Project. This started in the fall of 2012 when the Minister of Advanced Education made an announcement at the Open Ed Conference in Vancouver that year that BC would become the first province to fund an open textbook project. We were given $1 million to do the first phase of the project, which was to find or create 40 textbooks that aligned with the 40 highest enrolled first and second year post-secondary subjects in British Columbia. And then in 2014 we received another $1 million and expanded the project to include skills and training, and that's the piece that we're working on right now. I should say too that we didn't go into the project wanting to make a whole bunch of textbooks. We knew that there was a great collection already in the Commons. So we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to take advantage of what was out there. And so, you know, we went out to some of these projects and we found some textbooks that aligned pretty well with the subject areas that we were given to work with from the ministry. And so we managed to do almost 30 of the subject areas just with textbooks that we found. We had a review process with our faculty, so that was sort of our first level of engagement in getting people engaged with the project. But really we didn't want to get into a position where we were creating 40 or now 60 textbooks from scratch, knowing that there was already this great content in there. However, we knew we would have to do some adaptation of this content, and there were some subject areas that we did have to create content for. So we went looking for some technology to do that. And we had sort of these overarching technology goals in mind. We wanted to, for students, of course, make free textbooks. That was the point of the project and why we received the funding. We wanted to give the students a choice of formats. So we didn't want to restrict them to just one platform. So we wanted to create our content in a whole bunch of different technical formats, knowing that students like choice. We wanted to make content that was also available for them to retain so they could actually keep the books after they finish their courses. And for faculty, we wanted to address the easy to find piece. We wanted to take some steps to address quality, and we wanted to find some technology that would support faculty who wanted to adapt or create open textbooks. So I really want to focus on 2 on the student piece and 3 on the supporting adaptation and creation for faculty in this presentation, since we just have a limited amount of time here. So we sort of did this search, and knowing that we had to create some textbooks or adapt some textbooks, we wanted to take this approach that you know, we had to make things that looked like textbooks for some people to adopt these. So, you know, we had to have a traditional sort of PDF format. We also had we have a print-on-demand service for some of the textbooks. But we also wanted to find some technology that would not only do that piece of the project, but really allow us to look at textbooks with a new light, you know, and really examine what it means, you know, what a book means in this day and age. And so this guy, Hugh McGuire, has done quite a few talks about sort of the future of the book and the way the merging of the book and the internet are kind of happening. And so we wanted to find some technology that would really take advantages of the affordance of the internet and create books that were web first as opposed to, you know, a final static PDF content. And so Hugh developed this technology called Pressbooks. And we took a look at it, you know, a few years ago with a whole bunch of other technologies that we had in play for the authoring and adaptation of textbooks. And we really liked what we saw with Pressbooks. The big thing for Pressbooks is that it gave us this, ability to convert a whole bunch of different types of formats and create a whole bunch of different types of content. So write once, publish in many different formats. So we're able to create EPUB documents, PDF documents, Mobi documents for Kindles, and then standard website from this one interface. We're also able to ingest a whole bunch of different pieces of content, since a lot of the open textbooks we were finding were already created in different types of formats. So we can take an EPUB and we can put it into Pressbooks, modify it, and then push it out into all of these different types of formats. And what was really appealing about Pressbooks is that it was open source, which we really wanted to try to use as many open source technologies, considering that we're an open textbook project. And it was built on WordPress. So it's a plugin for the WordPress platform, which, if you're familiar with WordPress, it powers the EduBlogs. It comes from the blogging world. It's a very popular content management and blogging platform. Because of that, it had kind of a fairly easy to use interface for authoring. And because we have WordPress installations throughout our province here, UBC has a fairly big one, Emily Carr, the Justice Institute, Thomson Rivers University, all of these institutions here in British Columbia already have WordPress installations that are available to their faculty on campus. And so we thought that, by choosing a platform that was based on WordPress, it might make it easier for faculty who have worked in WordPress to adapt and author textbooks. So Pressbooks was very appealing for us in that case. We were also able to extend the platform. So because it's open source, we're able to take it and modify it to fit our specific needs. So when I talk about Pressbooks, I want to talk about sort of three different pieces of Pressbooks. There's Pressbooks.com. This is Hugh, his company. He has a commercial hosted service of Pressbooks. So if you go to Pressbooks.com, you can sign up for the service and pay a little bit of money and create your books at Pressbooks.com. So that piece is proprietary. But it is an option for some people who are interested in creating books. The second piece, the piece in the middle there, is a plugin that goes into WordPress called the Pressbooks plugin. This is for self-hosted instances of WordPress. So if you have your own instance of WordPress, you can take this plugin, pop it into WordPress, and boom, you've got yourself a Pressbooks platform. However, when we did that, we found that it didn't quite fit our needs perfectly. So we have a programmer named Brad Payne who has been working on customizing the platform, and he's created a plugin that works with the Pressbooks plugin, and that's the one on the right-hand side there, called the Pressbooks Textbooks plugin. And what that does is extends the original Pressbooks plugin and gives us some more textbook-specific features. The one thing about Pressbooks is that it was designed mostly to support fiction authors and self-publishing authors. So if you go to Pressbooks.com, you'll see that the interface is really designed for people who want to produce fiction. And of course, fiction and textbooks are different animals. So there were things that we wanted to be able to do that the original Pressbooks plugin wouldn't do. And the one piece about Pressbooks that is a bit of a problem in that it's not totally an open source solution end to end, because to do the PDF outputs, Pressbooks relies on a proprietary PDF engine called PrintsXML. And so that one piece institutions would have to pay for that to get the PDF outputs from Pressbooks. But this piece on the right-hand side is the part that we're developing and actively working on. And just to show you how this all kind of flows together, so we do development on Pressbooks textbook, and we're contributing the code back to the open source community. So we take our code, we push it up to the Pressbooks plugin, and some of the changes that we make actually find the way back into the core Pressbooks at Pressbooks.com. So there are some features at Pressbooks.com, like some of the import engines that we have developed to support all those different types of content import pieces that flow back into the Pressbooks.com platform. And this really gives us the ability to take advantage of a whole bunch of development communities. We have the WordPress development community, So we don't have to worry about developing core WordPress features and contents to support WordPress. That's being done by a really broad community of developers that are supporting WordPress. Then we also have the Pressbooks development community, so they're working on the plugin. And then we have our piece, the Pressbooks textbook plugin. So we have all of these different communities of developers that are working on improving the platform in ways that sometimes we don't even know about, but all of a sudden WordPress releases an update that fixes a problem that our authors are having. So we're able to tap into that, that development community. So some of the things that we've done with the Pressbooks textbook plugin that wasn't available in core Pressbooks is we added support for Creative Commons licenses, added some of those textbook specific features like learning outcomes, exercises, key takeaways. We also added a metadata feature that encodes that with LRMI metadata. We added a search feature, an annotation feature using the Hypothesis plugin. And one piece that really speaks to that vision that Hugh has of a book being more than just a book, and a book now as a potential platform. We've developed an API, application program interface, that it allows the book to become more than just static content, but it allows programmers to be able to tap into pieces of content within the book using some programming languages, PHP. I don't want to get too technical and too deep into this, but really this is the exciting part for us, is not only do we get the PDF outputs, EPUB outputs, a website, but we also now have turned our book into an application that a programmer can tap into the pieces of content that we have in our Pressbooks platform. And one of the visions that we have is being able to connect a whole bunch of Pressbooks instances together and using the APIs, being able to do these sort of meta searches across all of these different platforms for content and allow someone who's using Pressbooks here at BC Campus, maybe there's an installation at UBC of Pressbooks and they have content on their platform. We can search within our authors can search within our platform for content that UBC is hosting and vice versa, and then we can share content and edit content in a common platform. So really having an API to go along with a book makes a book more than a book. It actually turns a book into an application that we can work with. So some of the things we're working on now for the future of Pressbooks, we're working on accessibility features. I'm very interested in the Flow project, which has created a WordPress plugin that adds a whole bunch of accessibility features. Though we do have a developer working on some accessibility features for our instance of Pressbooks, and Amanda Coolidge, my colleague, who's I believe is still on this call, has been working quite a bit on accessibility to make sure that the open textbooks that we create are fully accessible. We're just at the end stages of replacing that Prince XML, that proprietary piece that creates the PDF documents, with an open source PDF engine, which will mean we'll now have a fully open source end-to-end platform, which will make it much more attractive for institutions to take and install. And we're also working on a new output format, an open document type, which means we'll have Word-compatible outputs. So if faculty feel comfortable working in Word and they like one of our textbooks, they're able to download a file format that they feel very comfortable working with, and then they can adapt that and modify it to really fit their needs. So those are the three pieces that we're working with. So just wrapping up here, just how to find out about our project. open.bccampus.ca is the main hub for our open textbook project, and there's some URLs for the different plugins we're working on. And if you want to see Pressbooks textbook, what a textbook created in Pressbooks textbook looks like, you can go to opentextbc.ca/geography. This is one of the textbooks that we've created from scratch in Pressbooks textbook. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Clint. And you had a few questions in the chat window, which I'll let you answer at your leisure here. Yeah, very exciting presentation on both of those platforms. And next, I would like to turn this over to Domi Enders, who is the founder and CEO of Open Assembly, which is a platform to support students, faculty, and institutions in the use of OER. Domi?
Hi there. Thanks, Una, for the intro, and hi to everybody else. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, Open Assembly is a project that's a few years old. I came into this as a former architect and adjunct instructor in the SUNY system, and where I observed a lot of problems for instructors as well as students with technology. And so we've been working on trying to address them from a different direction. I guess you could, we like to think of it as a bottom-up strategy that is a companion to top-down strategies that might be initiated by an institution. So let me go. And so our main focus are really non-traditional students and adjunct instructors. We've observed through much prototyping and interviews and focus groups and whatnot in the last few years, that they are, because they're poorly integrated with their institutions due to their circumstances, they're less likely to be reached by OER initiatives on their campuses. And they also have limited access to peer communities, which are pretty vital to their success. So our main question is, how can we use technology and the inherent shareability of OER to increase access to resources and peer communities for everyone, but to make sure that these particular groups also have access. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to, I think that Susana Vidal is on this call. She's our manager for business development. I think I saw earlier that she was on the call. Hopefully she's still with us.
Hi, Damian, everybody. Yes, I'm here.
So, great. So, our solution is what we refer to as an open learning architecture for OER, and our intent is to provide anytime, anywhere access to peer communities, I guess OER-based peer communities in particular, and associated learning resources. And let's see if I can get to the next slide. And the way we do that is by thinking that it's important for the instructor and the student to have some sort of agency in the technology itself. We have a lot of students, for instance, who are attending multiple institutions or who are part-time students, and the issue of continuity is a complicated one for them. So we have designed a technology that is in a sense owned by the student or the adjunct or the user, whoever that user is. That's one aspect. The second aspect is that we've modularized OER. We find that it's a lot easier to adapt, and it's also very effective for microlearning, which is something that both non-traditional students sort of running from activity to activity with limited periods of time for study, and for adjuncts who are also running from between multiple courses, find really helps them to stay connected and integrated. And then the third aspect of our platform is the collaborative content curation. We like to think that every student and every instructor is a potential producer and curator of OER. So we've created features that allow that to become possible. And then lastly, we're the fourth category of features are ones that facilitate peer-to-peer learning, either between instructors or between students, in order to try to enhance the connection and interaction. And you can do that both within courses, as we call them, or groups. I like what Clint was saying, that in a sense the line between the book, the courseware, and the internet is becoming very blurred. And so we call it a course. It could be based on a book, or it could be based on just about anything else. I'm moving on to the next slide here. So the most important aspect of this, of course, for an institution is that through LTI capability. We can integrate with any learning management system. This is also important for an instructor or student who has this technology to be able to easily access their instructors' courses and to integrate with various learning management systems. Up until now, we've achieved Moodle integration and Canvas integration. You can find us on the Edu App Center, which is part of the Canvas system. And so our goal is that, you know, if every instructor and every student is a curator, that means that they need to be able to easily access all of their learning resources in a single interface. And so we find that a lot of students are integrating their own supplemental resources to complement what they're receiving in the classroom. And so we provide a place where they can manage all of that in a single interface, as well as integrate content from other applications that they may be using. And the last bit is an analytics piece, which right now is pretty simple, but it allows instructors to gauge how well their content is being used, or if it's being accessed at all, to tweak it. And ultimately, we also see ourselves as developing analytics that help a student understand their own progress. I know we're running out of time here, so I'm going to try to blast through the last bit. Here are just a few screenshots that show you on the left our modularized OER collections. And what we mean by that, for instance, in the case of open textbooks, is that they're available at the chapter level, which we find is helping students a lot. It's cheaper for them to print a chapter if that's what they'd like to do. And it's also very convenient for an instructor to integrate that chapter directly into their courseware, right at the, and to contextualize it within a given module or topic. On the right, you see what might be a typical dashboard for a course, and how the collaborative content curation works. I can't really give you a demo today, but I'd be happy to give anyone who would like a demo. Like others who have presented today, we recognize that instructors are really the ones who are going to move forward and help to get that OER in the students' hands. So we need to make it very easy for an instructor to adapt and to make it their own. So what we're working on right now, specifically to understand that much better, are some institutional pilots. We've got one that's already started with Berkeley City College, and we're developing one with Delaware County Community College at the moment. And the focus of these pilots is to take a whole year to understand how we can facilitate OER adoption with OpenAssembly. And Berkeley City College came to us because they've said, they told us that their incentives for faculty adoption of OER are not working, and so they look at us as a curation solution. So what we do is we take all of their courseware. For instance, you can already you can do it, but on the back end. But on the front end, you'll be able to simply upload a Moodle course shell so that you can take your previous courseware and update it right into OpenAssembly. And so what we're doing is working with them to really evaluate what's going to move the needle on OER adoption for their instructors. So they're a wonderful partner, and we've got a series of efficacy studies that we've set up, and we're going to be taking a very close look at whether modularized and curated OER can really advance OER adoption with Berkeley City College. And we have some very specific metrics that we'll be looking at: time savings in class prep time, which is a big issue for all instructors, but especially for adjuncts. Increase or decrease in OER adoption, the value of this curation to departments. We're already seeing a lot of collaboration within the math department, for instance. An increase or decrease of instructor-student interaction via various features we have. One of the problems for instructors is that many of the adjuncts don't have office space. So we want to see if other live chat or other kinds of features can help them to overcome some of those challenges. And then on the student side, we want to see if this platform and operating within the Moodle environment of the institution can help them to increase student engagement, not only via the affordability of OER, but increased opportunities for peer-to-peer learning and being able to access OER and all of their course materials on the go wherever they are. So we are still in, our platform is in public beta. We released that last fall. We definitely think of ourselves as an MVP, and we are looking forward to getting through the rest of this year to see if we can really help to make a difference in the adoption of OER by both instructors and students. I guess that's it for right now. Thank you so much for listening.
Hello out there. Can you hear me? Thank you. I think we lost our phone connection again. I apologize for that. There's been something going on this morning. I think we'll go ahead and take a few questions here. We're at the end of the hour, and I want to thank our speakers, Domi Enders, who just talked with us about Open Assembly and opportunities to get involved in her pilots, and of course Clint Lalonde from BC Campus, who shared with us Pressbooks and other APIs that BC Campus is using for open textbook development. And finally, of course, I want to thank our first presenters, and Teleprat and Judy Einstein from CourseLoad, who is offering a platform, a fee-based platform for supporting OER delivery and other content. At this point, I think we're just going to take questions in the chat window due to our audio problems, and I apologize for that, and thank everyone for coming today. Our next webinar is May 13th, and it'll be on community college OER projects. And a number of us are going up to the conference later on this month in Banff, which our Open Education Consortium Global Meeting 2015. I hope to see some of you up there. And here's our contact information. We'll be online for a few more minutes to take questions in the chat window. Thank you for coming today, and once again, I apologize for our technical issues.
Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the pound or hash key. Please hold while I confirm your passcode. Thank you. Your passcode is confirmed. Please wait for When you hear the tone, you will be the third person to join the meeting.